Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I have another fascinating chess puzzle for you guys. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video for a little training exercise. The title I have given to this puzzle is, If You Cannot Find the Checkmate, Please Retire, which is true, because if you cannot solve this, well, I have one thing and one thing only to say to you.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
For real. Okay, maybe that's a bit extreme. But in all seriousness, if you can't figure this out, please close your 5-inch by 5-inch foldable travel chess set that you play with your brother in the car on the way to the beach and immediately return it to Amazon. Make sure you have the QR code handy. So here is the puzzle. Once I say pause the video and solve, you may not ask me a single question. And that's for two reasons. Number one, you're watching something from the past, since this is a video. Number two, I want you to think, and I want you to build those critical thinking skills. So let's begin. Pause the video and solve now. Okay, yeah, so some of you may have been thinking, hey! Or you may have been feeling, yeah, so you're like, whose turn is it to move? I didn't tell you whose turn it was to move, and I did that on purpose. Let's assume that it's white to move. Always look at the bottom left-hand corner of the chessboard when you're looking at puzzles to see which way the pawns are going. The bottom left-hand corner is A1, so white's pawns are going up the board, black's pawns are going down the board. You'll notice that the white king is trapped. The black's pawns are guarding these three squares. The rooks have the second rank cut off. And all of white's other pieces are also trapped, except for the rook on f7 and the knight on g6. The knight has 5 legal moves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rook has 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 legal moves. So you'll notice that white has pawns on d4, g4, and g5, all of which are controlling the e5, f5, and f6 squares. So the black king cannot get to those 3 squares. Okay, so you'll also notice that we have a bishop here on g8. If this knight on g6 moves, it will be a discovered check by the rook sitting here on h6. So the rook is protected by the bishop and the knight. So if the knight moves, the black king will not be able to get to any of these squares because the rook has all of the squares on the 7th rank cut off. So basically, any knight move will be a discovered checkmate. That's a discovered checkmate. That's a discovered checkmate. That's discovered checkmate, and that's discovered checkmate by the rook on h6. All right, so if we take a look at the rook on f7, protected by the bishop and the knight, if the rook moves laterally along the 7th rank, it'll be out of reach on g7. It'll be protected by the knight on e7, and it'll be protected by the pawn on c6. And that will be a discovered check by the bishop. So again, these pawns have these 3 squares cut off, so any lateral rook move to any of these 3 squares will be a discovered checkmate. We also notice if it moves anywhere along the f-file, it will be a discovered check by the bishop. The king cannot get to, if the rook moves somewhere down here on the f-file, the king cannot get to e7 or d7 because of the pawn on c6 and the knight on g6. So any f-file move by the rook will result in a discovered checkmate. So any move, any legal move that white makes will result in a checkmate. By now, you can probably see where this is going. If we assume it's black's turn to move, the black king is trapped, and black actually only has one piece that can move. Again, we've got the pawns sitting here on a5, d5, and a4, all controlling these 3 squares, and the rooks have the 2nd rank cut off. So we notice that if the rook stays anywhere on the 2nd rank, the king cannot go to b3 because that's controlled by the a4 pawn, and that will be a discovered checkmate by the bishop. So this is a checkmate, that's a checkmate, all of these are checkmates. Likewise, if the rook moves just like the white rook on f7, if the black rook on b2 moves anywhere along the b file, then that will be a discovered checkmate by the bishop because the other rook on a2 has all the other squares on the second rank cut off. So that's a checkmate. That's a checkmate. All of those are checkmates. So, in conclusion, it actually does not matter who goes first. Any legal move by either side will result in a checkmate. So it is literally impossible for you to not be able to solve this video. So once again, if you cannot figure this out.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Okay, now for the hard part, the training exercise part of this video. So some of you guys may be thinking, well, yeah, I mean, this is an impossible position that would never happen. True, it's unlikely that you would ever see this position on the board, but it is possible. Black's a4 pawn could have been the original b pawn that captures something on a4. Black's d5 pawn could have been the e pawn that captures something on d5. Same thing with white. This g5 pawn could have been the f pawn. The d4 pawn could have been the original b pawn that captured twice to get here, or it could have been the e pawn that captured. So the pawn structure is definitely possible. The hard part that I'm going to give you guys another shot to figure out is, how do we arrive at this position? How did these kings get to these spots, dodging all of these infinite checkmates? So once again, I'm going to give you another chance to pause the video and to see what you can come up with for how did we arrive at this position. Pause the video now. All right, what did you guys come up with? So there are a bunch of different examples, infinite number of examples that you could have come up with. I'm going to just show you one that I came up with. So let's say that we started in this position here. So the white king could have started somewhere along the 8th rank, and it could have meandered and wandered all the way up here to the b4 square. Likewise, the black king could have started somewhere in the 1st rank, wandered up here to the g3 square. Let's say it's black's turn to move, and black moves their king up to g4. And let's say that white puts this knight on g6, and the black king just completely throws caution to the wind. It is going in, all in by himself. He's going to completely wipe out white's entire army. We're going to see a king lift, like a rook lift. We're going to see a king lift to come over here and take out the rook. He's going to finally take out the sniper on g8. And he's taking on the whole army by himself, and it probably looks at something a little bit like this. Yeah, taking on the whole army by himself. Okay, so it's white's turn to move. So let's say white retreats one of their knights. Let's say that black pulls their bishop back to a1, and then white gives a check. And the king goes into the Top Gun danger zone here on e6. White pushes their pawn. Black gives a check. King wanders to its danger zone on c3. And then black pushes their pawn to a5. And here we go. This is the exact position that I started you guys off with. So hopefully you're able to find a way to get to this position. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and there will be more to come. See you on the next one.